All right, so we've seen how conformity can look, we've seen these things, but now what predicts conformity? Okay, so we'll talk briefly here. If you have 3 to 5 people in a group, you'll have much more conformity than just one or two. As we can see in this image on the left side here, um, this was, I believe it was there was people and they were just like looking up, okay, and so would a passerby look up if others were looking up, okay, and so what happened was that, if there was 0 people looking up, nobody looked up. Okay, that's great. If there was one person that was looking up, 40% of people that were passing by, what is it? If 2 people were looking up, if 3, if 5, and so you see what happens is it really levels off here. Once you get past about 5, it's just like might as well be 100, right? So at some point, right, 1 or 2 is much different than 3 to 5. Okay, so going back to Ash's study, in his traditional setup there was let's see, 5 people before our critical participant, right? If there was only 2 before our critical participant, it didn't have the same effect, all right? 5 was a good number to get higher levels of conformity. Unanimity, funky word. Again, in here, this graph here on the left, this is actually results from Ash's work. And so what happened was he had those 5, and then but on certain trials, what happened was some trials all 5 would make the wrong answer. Well, this guy, and then on some trials, one of those previous 5 would give the correct answer. Okay, but 4 gave the wrong answer. So 4 gave the wrong, 1 gave the correct. And as you can see, the blue line is if there was a unanimous, all 5 before him said, bing, this is conformity. But if you have just that one person, look at what happens to conformity. It just drops dramatically. So a single dissenter is often enough to eliminate the conformity, but in reality, single dissenters aren't that common. Okay, the most common thing is for unanimous thinking. Okay, and again, I can tell you this from untold numbers of faculty meetings. By far, the majority of resolutions and votes are unanimous. Unanimous, it's just the way it goes, all right? And you know that there are definitely plenty of people in that room that are not believing it's a good vote, but do so just because. Although recently we did get a faculty member that just loves to be that single one vote for no when everyone else in the room says yes. And I think he or she just wants to, whatever. It's funny. Okay, so juries just don't work this way. Even though they show it in a movie or something, this just doesn't happen. Okay? Cohesiveness. Yeah, groups that are much more cohesive, that are attracted to each other, are more likely to be conforming with each other. In Milgram's study, or not Milgram, Solomon Ash's study, one of the manipulations he did was, in fact, he manipulated the desirability of the group. Okay, so if this participant is in this group, and this was the 1950s, this is how they manipulated it. They said, they were wearing like leather jackets and dressed like, they didn't even belong at the college, right? But the desirable group, they were clearly students. They were wearing shirts and ties, and they were clearly belonged at the school, kind of a thing. And so this is how he manipulated desirability of group. I mean, we could have a discussion about whether or not that's a good experimental manipulation, but that's how he did it. And so the idea was, if it's a desirable group, you'll feel more desire to be part of it, and you'll conform more to get there. Okay. But there's also cultural standards of conformity. They replicated Ash's study in Japan, and I'm going to tell you what. When they did the study in America, even when that guy conformed, you could see the WTF look on his face when he's like, huh? Huh? But in Japan, there's like, they just give the incorrect answers. Straight faced, doesn't even look like, and just like that. And you get almost perfect conformity in Japan. So why do we conform? Well, we could have normative and informational influence. Normative influence is conformity where we just don't want to stick out. We're using we just don't want to look bad, okay? Informational. We might conform, but we're doing so because here's the thing. If nine other people believe it's no, what was it over there? Five other people believe the correct answer is B, and I think it's C. Well, then you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe if five people believe, take it away from yourself. If five people believe one thing and one person believes another, chances are the five are right. Right? Five heads are generally going to be better than one. So yeah, it's possible you could just say maybe they know something I don't know. I think they're right. Okay, it's less often true, obviously, because you know I know everything. You know how that goes. So who conforms? What about personalities? Is there a particular personality that conforms more than others? Not really. It's really situational. You can perhaps have personality traits that predict average or something like that, but it's not. But if you did, if you somehow can remove the power of the situation, then yeah, individual personalities could predict conformity. But most of the time, situational influences on conformity override any influence personality would have had. Cultural shaping. Who conforms? Yeah, generally speaking, in any situation where you've got a top-down model, conformity usually goes from the bottom up. That is to say, people are less likely to conform with me than they are with Rihanna, Beyonce, or even Kim Kardashian. See, they're more likely to dictate fashion than I am. So if I run around and do something, people are probably not going to conform. But if, somebody powerful does, we're more likely to. So I love this one. Doesn't anybody ever want to be different? I like reactants. One of my favorite cartoons of all time. All right, look at the sign. Absolutely no machete juggling. Suddenly I have an urge to juggle machetes. Just tell me I can't do it. This is exactly what Eve and the apple. You can do anything you want in this garden. Just don't touch that tree. Oh, don't touch that tree, you said? I think I'll touch that tree. that's that's the way to use reverse psychology. Whatever you do, child, don't clean your room. Okay, I'll go clean my room. I don't know if it'll work, but you can try. So yeah, freedom. People want their self-efficacy. They want their freedom. They want to, and so rebellion in this way is human nature. I mean, I've had a few teenagers. I know what it is. And then the last thing I got is this one. I don't know where I found it, but I like this as a test of conformity. Which one is bigger? All right. And I don't know the answer to this question. I mean, red is a bigger color than blue, right? Thinking outside of the box. Um, the circle occupies more physical space, but the star extends out further. I don't know the answer. You tell me the answer. Which one is bigger? Okay. So that's what we got on conformity and obedience. Okay. We will see you next time.